Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you can hear, this show is so hot that the fire department just pulled up, and they're going to be putting out the fire. But let's hope that we can keep this raging, burning, and going strong. Listen, as you can tell with the excitement in my voice, my goodness, is it a great time? No, let me just rephrase that. It is the greatest time to be an Xbox fan because holy shit, there has been not only so much information, but Phil Spencer and Team Microsoft shocked the entire world, and they have stolen every bit of thunder from the entire industry. This is not Xbox versus PlayStation versus Nintendo. This is the Xbox versus the world, and they have mindshare, they have excitement, they have Phil Spencer strutting it out there, letting it all hang out and showing off that he's got a 12-inch dong. There's all kinds of craziness going on. But before I get into this ridiculous topics that we're going to be talking about, I have to introduce my outstanding panel. And first, I'm going to start with someone, you know him as the Welsh gamer, someone whose passion for the Xbox brand bleeds through very green. Welsh, welcome to today's show.
I appreciate that, Boom. I got here in literally the nick of time. My missus just got back from work, and I was like, I don't think I could have ran up the stairs any quicker. These topics are fire. I am excited, and man, it's good to be here. I welcome the rest of the panel, Mr. Boom, Mr. Zem, everyone in the chat. Much love. I'm ready to go, man.
Yes, well, listen, thank you so much for nearly killing yourself getting here. That's the dedication this man has for this show. And of course, the other part, as important part to this show is someone that I enjoy working with on a weekly basis, just like the Welsh gamer, someone who has passion for gaming, who also, but more importantly, has passion and understanding for this outstanding community. That, of course, is Zemi Games. Welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you so much, Boom. Super excited to be here. The topics that you lined up are just absolutely fantastic. But I'm also excited for another reason. The new Star Wars movie comes out today. Cannot wait to go watch that. That's pretty much my plan. A few hours after this show goes off, I'm going to run out and grab my popcorn, grab my Coke, and just sit there and just absolutely enjoy that new Star Wars movie. But before we do that, let's definitely jump into all these fantastic topics because they're heavy.
Okay, well, listen, first of all, I have to thank Pixelbit G, who has just become a channel member for Double Barrel Gaming. Dude, thank you so much for always being here, for always being generous, and of course, for being a channel member. That is super, super cool. I really appreciate that. And of course, today's first topic, you see it on the screen, folks. We're bringing some serious production value to, of course, this show, along with many others. And listen, here's the title. Phil Spencer does the unthinkable last Thursday, and the Xbox crowd is completely jacked. Now, in an article that I pulled from TheVerge.com, the Xbox Series X is basically a PC, and that's why you're going to want to own one next holiday season. Now, as we all have been privy to in the last few years leading up to the next generation, Microsoft has been going out of their way to downplay the box part of the next Xbox. Now, if there's one thing that we all know about Phil Spencer, leader of Team Green, it's that big changes were coming, and that we've talked about those big changes on this very show. Now, Thursday's Game Award came to a screeching halt, and I know that this is now the third show that I've talked about the Xbox Series X, and of course mentioning the Game Awards. But to be honest with you, I honestly think that we as Xbox fans need to continue to celebrate what just happened, because to be honest, it does seem like it was a decade ago that this incident happened with the Game Awards, and it wasn't. It was very recent. And listen, the redesign of the legendary controller was shown off. The box itself has been shown off. And, unfortunately, with all of the positivity that we're going to bring to this particular show today, one of the things that has been highlighted by many gaming outlets, more specifically IGN, right? The ignorant gaming network. Like, I don't owe them anything, so I can say that they're a bunch of d-bags and get away with it, right? So I don't care. Dustin Legary, who is part of the Xbox show that they do there, posted something that I thought was odd. They made a mock-up of what the X is going to look what the X is going to look like on its side compared to the actual Xbox One X that we currently have, and it was made of cardboard. They painted it black. They put a sticker on there, and the size looked way off. And at that point, we were really not sure what the dimensions were. Now, obviously, I'm gonna, when we talk about Brad Sams has been on this show. And Welsh and I got a chance to hang out with him a couple of months ago, and he is coming back. We do have a backdoor deal that as soon as he hits 20,000 subs on YouTube, he's going to come back on here and talk about it. And he's a stone throw away from that, so we should get Brad probably in the first quarter of 2020. And of course, there's going to be a lot to talk about because hopefully we'll have a reveal of sorts by then. And I'm going to bring up a picture on the screen. Obviously, this is the dimensions of course, the Xbox. So let me just take down the banner that I have showing so you guys can take a look at it. This picture comes from Windows Central, as you can see in the left-hand corner, and it breaks down the exact size of the box. Now, listen, we all have to understand something. Most gamers want to play a game on a box that plays games, right? That's not going to melt into a pile of rubbish after playing for 2 hours. And this box was built with that in mind. If you recall, there's been some ideologies with Microsoft that have changed. And what those changes are is before they would come up with a design. And Phil Spencer would say, okay, geniuses, make the tech fit into that box, right? And they would have to figure out how to get the tech to fit into those dimensions. Where this time, and Phil has said this publicly, it was different. Make the tech, make it however it needs to be made, and we'll build a box around it. That's why this thing looks the way it does. And as these systems get bigger and more powerful, they're going to have more heat. And the more heat, there's more chance of malfunction. And Microsoft certainly does not want a red ring of death again. And I think that this is an amazing design. Welsh, listen, I know that you have been chomping at the bit because unfortunately you couldn't have joined us before this particular show to talk about it. And I know I saw you on Twitter, and I know you've been going back and forth with certain people. But I have a couple of questions that I want to ask you before I get to Zemi. First of all, what was your response seeing that the Game Awards were basically taken over by Phil Spencer and the Xbox crew? They completely shut down the show. This was the mic drop moment of 2019. Hell, this might be the mic drop moment of the entire generation, to be honest with you. What are your thoughts on what Microsoft did that evening?
Oh man, literally, in a nutshell, Boom. They did what me and you have been saying they needed to do. Well, we've been saying it for so long now that they need to end 2019 in whatever fashion they choose. Like, we theorized it'd be E3, and while there was a lot of, and don't get me, it wasn't quite that. Then we thought like, ooh, drop Fable, or they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to wipe the floor with everyone to end 2019. And EXO, while an impressive show and I enjoyed it, it wasn't quite that. And then just out of nowhere, at the Kojima, granted, the Death Stranding didn't take the crown. That, I suppose that's unfortunate for the people who love that. That whole conference, that whole VGAs was like literally surrounding the Sony bracket. Like that's all people were talking about. And then out of nowhere, literally like a punch in the nose when you've just come out of a dark room, Phil just drops this bombshell, and I mean this is a bombshell, and it looks a phenomenal box, a lot better than, to be perfectly honest with you, because like I've said before in show about my thought process surrounding this and like the power argument and all that stuff. I literally knew, said it in any interview, that they were not. Fox has been staying in their lane, learned from mistakes in the said. You mentioned the red ring of death, and then the bulkiness of the Xbox One Fat, and then you've got the Xbox One X. Like, they're constantly climbing this ladder. Each bar they grab, and every time a little bit higher, they're just learning, progressing, getting better. And you can tell, like I said, I could tell. I know I could, and I know you guys could, and for Brain Cell in the chat knew as well, before Phil even opened his mouth to like obviously confirm that their whole process behind this particular box was here's the specs, do whatever you need to do to get it in, area and plastic layer over the top of it. We don't care how long as it we have and considering
function over fashion, right? Yes.
Exactly. Function over fashion. It's like the Jeeps you see in the army. They're not made to look good. They're made to withstand missiles and grenades and bullets. They're not. If the army were running around in bloody Porsches and Ferraris, they'd soon fucking know what was wrong. It's the same deal here. But considering everything I just said about like Phil's like ideology of like, right, guys, here's your budget. I don't care what it looks like. Just get it all in a box or get it all in some kind of, that we can put on someone's shelf. Considering all of that, I absolutely love this design. I think it looks beautiful. I know you're not going to please everybody, but for me, I love its simplicity. I love that it is quite literally a box. Like, it is literally a box with an X on it. Like, you can't get any more simple than that. It's phenomenal. And my only critique, not even a critique, I really couldn't care less on a high level, but I was hoping months back, I didn't even open my mouth on the matter, but I was hoping that when they revealed the Xbox One X, they were going to go back to the emerald green logo. But it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. But all in all, to sum up my glee, my absolute glee, I'm grinning from ear to ear. This machine looks phenomenal. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It is already got so much promise for a lot of different aspects of what a console is, like with regards to the 4K 60 and all that. Like, we can go into so much detail, but in terms of the bombshell, the mic drop moment, and I know I speak for you, Boom, and no doubt I speak for Zemi and anybody who's a fan of the Xbox and has wanted this and has been following our show for this long, they did exactly what I wanted them to do this close to the closing of 2019. Everyone going into 2020 is thinking and talking about Xbox, whether it's negatively, whether it's these IGNs and these bloody cock-sucking Sony motherfucking bloody ball suckers, whoever. If I don't care if it's people who've got Yoshida's balls on the end of their chin right now, people are talking about this box. And as we've learned when it comes to anything in the media, even bad publicity is good publicity. And whether you're hating on this or loving it, it is getting a lot of, it's in the minds and mouths of a hell of a lot of people. And frankly, from what I'm gathering on Twitter, I'm seeing a lot more positive feedback than bad. But I, for one, absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful display. Not in just like the box itself, but just that mic drop. They couldn't have done it any better, Boom. It is literally taking the shine off of everyone else in this industry, just to put it simply.
No, that's actually a great point. And, we're going to talk about what happened, of course, after the initial reveal of the box, because that's a separate topic. But, Zemi, before you get your point, I have to thank two people. First of all, Robert Griffin drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He says, who downvoted already? Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you something, Robert. Here's the thing. And I actually had to be, talked to about this by several big time YouTubers that were friends away from the job, so to speak, that's going to happen. People are gonna hate on the show. I don't get a lot of thumbs downs, which is great. I got a heck of a lot more thumbs ups. But there's always like 4 or 5, almost every show. I mean, it could be the most perfect show, and people are just going to be people. So listen, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being here. And hopefully you did hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate that, Robert. And Scrub Nurse with the outstanding $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate that. He says Phil made a power move and stole the Game Awards show for sure. Made me forget most of it. Phil Dominus Spencer, great panel, great chat. Well, first of all, let me tell you something, Scrub Nurse. You're not the only one saying this. I said this live on the air when I was working with, of course, the Iron Lords, Cognito. We did you know, as the show was happening. The truth of the matter is, first of all, I think I was so stunned from this. I mean, like literally stunned. I told Cognito, I don't remember what I said. First of all, I said, I hope I don't sound like a boob on the air, but I was flabbergasted. Like, I mean, like punch drunk, stunned that this happened. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think everyone will admit this. Most of the Game Awards was a blur. I actually, because I was going to talk about it the following day, which we had record numbers on that particular show, I had to rewatch it because there was some stuff a lot of stuff that I missed because I was so stunned. And I think that this isn't it, folks. It's coming. You know, Phil Spencer has said on numerous times that we're going to start showing new games at events. Every time there's an event, we're going to show something new. Guess what, folks? They did it at XO and they did it at the Game Awards. And whatever event they have next, new game. Event after that, new game. Event after that, maybe 2 new games. I don't know, but it's a very exciting time. Eric the Red, thank you for being here, dude. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat. He says, morning, guys. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Yes, thank you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And of course, I hope everyone has an amazing 2020. All I can say is that it's going to be expensive, so start collecting your cans now. But Zemi, let me get back to you. Now, I want to bring up a picture, Zemi. The size situation has been, I think, overblown. Now, I pulled this picture up, and this is a mock-up of the size of the different consoles. As you can see, the Xbox One, old one, the OG Xbox One, the fat one, if you will. Then you have the X, and then, of course, you have the Series X. And then you have the Pro, you have the Slim, you have the PS4 Vanilla. To be honest with you, folks, if you look at these side by side, right on the screen, live for you to see, is it really that ugly of a system? Are people just jealous that Microsoft took the first shot? This was, you have to understand something. This was a sword fight that Microsoft brought a gun to. Understand the seriousness of what he did. He did, and I'm talking about Phil Spencer, did something so uncharacteristic of what they've done this generation, and he shocked the world. Now, Zemi, if by looking at these mock-ups, is the size being overblown by the media?
I mean, it is a big console, right? Like, there's no lying. I mean, it looks like it's double the thickness of like a regular Xbox One, right? But for me personally, I have more than enough space on my desk to fit that thing. You know what I mean? You know, I think most people probably have more than enough space in their entertainment, stands. Maybe they might have to, switch a few things around, but that's not really that big of a trade-off if you want to buy what is being advertised now as the most powerful and fastest system for next gen, right? For me personally, I love the form factor. I love the design of the console. I think it looks really great. I think it looks best whenever you stand it up. Like I said, on Breakfast with Boom last week, it looks like a trophy, like a fine piece of art. I'm going to stand it up high on my desk. I love it. It's going to look beautiful. That's for me personally. I think it looks best whenever it's, just stood up, straight up.
Basically, you're saying that it's stronger when it's erect, is what you're saying.
Let's not go there.
This?
But in some ways, and I love like the heating, or like the fan system. It's almost like a freaking volcano. You know what I mean? With all of like the hot air going to be coming out the top, from what it looks like, and from what we've read up on, with the I guess like the cooling system inside of it. But I really like the overall design of the system. I think it looks fantastic. And I do think that a lot of what people are saying, they're just blowing it way out of proportion. I think a lot of people are looking for any single way to, you know, crap on Xbox. You know, they're doing fantastic. Their hardware looks good. Their first party is looking stronger every single time we hear them talk about it. So, you know, what else? You know, their online service is still the best, you know, in my opinion. What else can they complain about, right? I think a lot of these people going out and complaining about the box size is just nitpicking and you know, just grabbing for straws.
Absolutely.
I
Now,
could
real
not
quick,
agree more. Sorry.
yeah, no, I'll let you come in 1 second. I have to thank Boogie Down Reactions for the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He says, Gangsta Phil, back slap the competition, hashtag Series X. I'm going to be honest with you. He brought the pimp hand strong, and he just slapped down the Game Awards and was like, sorry, Keeley, this is my show. Now step off. That's what it seemed like to me, even though he didn't really say that. And I got to be honest with you. You know, obviously, and I said this, I think on Breakfast with Boom, and I'll say it publicly again. Jeff Keighley, I was very critical over some things that were happening during the Game Awards that I didn't like. From many angles, and I was very public about it. He actually, you know, we talked about this. He tweeted at me directly. I put out there, and I was very respectful because, you know, obviously cursing and stuff is just not my way. But I do have to say this publicly once again, and I'm not ashamed to say it. My God, Jeff, this was one of the best shows that you've ever put on. The production value was through the roof. The pacing was on par, perfect, and this has nothing to do with just Microsoft blowing the freaking roof off. No, that helped. But this was, I was looking at a stat. I think it was, he had a 74% boost in viewership for this particular Game Awards. Now, I think that the controversy surrounding, of course, Death Stranding certainly led to those numbers being higher, because there's obviously a heck of a lot more PlayStation fans than there are Xbox fans, just by the sheer numbers of 108 million to the 50 million. So it's to be expected that they were going to show up. And I honestly think that there were a lot of Sony fans that thought that what Microsoft did, that Sony was going to do, because it's very Sony. I mean, if you follow the industry like we do, it's very Sony to pull a move like this, and this harkens back, right, all the way back to the PS3, Xbox 360 era, right? They, you know, Microsoft pulled a page right out of the Sony PlayStation 2 book and went crazy with it, right? Now, granted, the PlayStation 3 eventually caught up and outpaced the 360, and not by a lot. It's only by a few million systems, but they caught up. They made the comeback. And of course, we know what happened in 2013. Sony did what Microsoft did. They pulled the page right out of their book, and they went crazy with it. And the generation's a generation. There's no denying what happened. Now we see that Microsoft may have once again pulled the page from Sony, because these bold moves, showing the console and the controller and a game almost a year before it launches, it's ludicrous to think about it, considering what they've done in the past. Now, Zemi, Welsh, you wanted to jump in here for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, mate. Honestly, it just makes me laugh, man. Like the picture you've shown to everyone in the chat and to us, like comparing the sizes and already you've got people criticizing the size. It just once again, like, you know, like I really, at this point, it's become so tiresome. I actually, like, I welcome it. I welcome all the people who say I'm wearing a tinfoil hat or I'm being this, I'm being that. But literally, honestly, I mean, like, and Zemi and Boom, I want you to tell me immediately after I've shut up if you think I'm being a dickhead or not. Because I literally find it just laughable now, like to the point where, like, I'm not even getting irate. This could have potentially been one of Welsh rants, but I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to even give these people the satisfaction. All I smell when I already see people like, oh, the problem is though the size of it. Look at it. Look how big it is. It's like 3 times the size of a fat. Oh my God. All I smell is a new narrative. First, it was the power narrative. Then it was the first party narrative. Then it was this. Then it was that. Not enough exclusive. Not enough this. Not enough that. And now it's going to be, you can see the headlines now. IGN Daily, the headline. Will people pay for such a monstrosity? Like, literally, honestly, man, honest to God, it's so funny for me. Like, you know, I sitting back watching this right here just validates all the times I've pointed the finger and gone, I call bullshit on that. I call media bias. I call narrative. I call goalposts being moved. It is literally that all over again. And the logic, what makes me laugh is these same people don't apply the logic in other areas. Like even within the gaming industry, you don't see PC players with their massive PC cases taking up half their floor space so they can play at 8K 300 frames, complaining about the size of the case. No, they've put a lot of money and time into making their gaming experience how they've got this massive case to carry their. But no person. Look at phones. iPhone 4, now a few years back, like 2011, 2012. iPhone 4 was possibly the smallest iPhone they made from the 1, 2, 3, and 4. The iPhone's been getting bigger. iPhone 5 was bigger. iPhone 6 was bigger. All the way to 10. Now you've got 10X, 10S, 10 plus plus, 10 penis shape. Christ, there's a 10 for everything. There's a 10, honestly, man. And they're just getting bigger. The screens are getting bigger. Same with tablets. iPads, the original iPad compared to the iPad plus 1001 bollock face you can buy now is like 4 times the size. But do you hear anyone saying, oh, who's going to buy the new Apple phone? It's bloody massive. No. Again, bringing myself down to earth because I promised I wouldn't rant because I'm not giving people this satisfaction, but it just is literally laughable to me that this could potentially be a narrative against the new Xbox. When before Phil even opened his mouth, I've already said it once, we as individuals with common sense who have been following this industry for a long time are fans of the Xbox platform and what they've been doing. We have said, and I know you've said it, Boom, I can speak for you specifically, but we as a collective have said that when it comes to the Anaconda or the Series X, whatever the name was at that time, we've said from day dot, we don't care what it looks like. It wasn't the case of, we want it to look really pretty. That's unrealistic. And Phil coming out and actually saying that we weren't that concerned about how it looks. We just wanted the most powerful system with the budget we gave and for the price point we want to sell it at. And they've done a remarkable job. It looks way better than I could have possibly imagined. But for people to think for 1 second that it was going to be about an inch thin, like a bloody laptop or something, like you're just kidding yourselves. But again, like I said, it's not an issue until Xbox does it. And then you see all the bloody goalpost movers come out of the woodwork. And I just find it hilarious when the same logic could be applied in so many other areas, Boom, but it just seems to be ignored. And when it comes to this box, like, I think the size is warranted because if people are paying attention, the shit this console is going to be doing, it is quite literally, for lack of a better term, as we've already said, going to be a PC at your fingertips, but with the added comfort and convenience of having a controller in your hand and not having to flip the hood and change the specs every 3 months when your bloody graphics chip is broken or needs replacing. It is going to be a static box with all the power in it you need. It's going to run at 4K 60, which is what everyone's been screaming about, was the one thing that X failed to do. And all people have to say, not people in general, because people like me and you and Zemi are excited and really excited about it. But the people, hashtag the haters, are the ones that are piping up and going, oh, but look how big it is. It's like, go to bed, mate. Sleep on it for 5 minutes. You sound like a moron. Honestly, it is literally just, once again, another narrative forming. Come 2020, it'll be all people are talking about leading up to the launch. Oh, look at the size on that thing. It's like, Since when is size a bad thing? My missus loves size. I tell her all the time, look at me, I'm massive. Oh man, it's crazy, honestly. But that's it. That's all I got. I just had to throw that out there. Back on the piggyback what Zemi was saying. But please tell me right now if you think I sound like an idiot.
No, I don't think you sound like an idiot at all. As a matter of fact, you're just passionate and you're speaking a lot of truths that some people would be afraid to make mention. You know, before I want to read a quote. This is coming directly from Microsoft that breaks down exactly what we're getting in the box. But before I do, I have to thank a couple of people. Restored Hades with the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, "From the new Xbox design, I can tell they threw tradition out the window. Phil went to the engineers and just said, make the best, make a beast of a console." Yeah, that's exactly what he said. As a matter of fact, he talked about that. Pixelbit G, wow, dude. First of all, he became a channel member. Thank you for that. And he also drops a $5 super chat. He says, "It's so overblown. I tried the 11.5 by 6 by 6 measurement, and it stands in 3 stands, and it fit all of them. By the way, no one cried about the PSV toilet seat design. Weird." Yeah, that's a little weird too. And of course, Boogie Down Reactions drops an additional $2 super chat. And he says, "Gangster, Senor backslapped Xbox first party haters." Well, listen, that's going to be something for sure. And actually, we're going to be talking about that in a hot second. Let me get into this particular statement, though. Phil Spencer obviously did a lot of talking. Here he is up on the screen. Phil is our hero, especially if you are a fan of Xbox. But this is what Microsoft had to say about the Series X, that it's going to target. Someone's ringing the bell. This is Greg Miller all over again. Microsoft says that the Series X will target 4K 60 FPS performance. You know what, Zemi? Take it over for a second while I step away.
All right, man. I have really no idea what the topic or what he was about to say, but Welsh, what do you think, man? What do you think about like 4K 60? Are you excited about that?
Literally, right? Like I said before, like all these narratives and it's come to a head. Basically, we can all agree on that. This generation, it came to its head when the X was dropped, and it promised like flawless 4K with a few of its titles, mainly first party, being 4K 60, blah 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 blah. But the main stopgap was that there was a lot of games out there that I had to sacrifice one or the other. Yeah. And some people like that, some people criticize it for that. Everyone's opinion is valid at this point because it depends what you want. But what PS5 and the Xbox Series X is going to inevitably achieve, though, all this argument about power goes out the window for a moment, because PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to deliver on that promise of a 4K 60 minimum, you know, like when it comes to your gaming experience. And I think a hell of a lot of people should be very happy about that. For me, I suppose I'm happy to the extent that like I'm gonna get the most out of like my TV, like because like my TV was an investment in itself, and and it's like it'll be nice to know that I'm gonna be playing my games like 4K 60 across the board, and then obviously there's already word of some games being at higher frame rate on the Xbox, like going up in the hundreds. I don't know how much truth is in that.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to talk about that like later on in the show, I think, if we hit the topic. But like I don't actually have like a 4K monitor, which I play all my games off of monitor. I don't actually have a 4K monitor, so like next year is going to be super expensive because I'm going to have to buy the 4K monitor. I'm going to have to buy the new system, probably going to buy the PlayStation system as well. I mean, it's going to be super, super expensive for me just to kind of update my monitor and everything like that. But I'm super pumped for it. Because for the longest time I've been playing 1080p 30 frames. Even on my PC I don't have that great of a graphics card, so I usually get about 30 frames. So I'm super excited to see like the 60 frames and the big difference that's going to make. I mean, I experienced that on some games on PC, but not all of them. But it definitely makes a huge difference. And it makes the game run a lot smoother, especially like in first-person shooters and stuff like that. So I mean, just imagine Halo Infinite 4K 60 frames per second. Like that's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Mate, you're just speaking my language, Zemi.
I know.
Seriously. And then like that Hellblade 2 as well. Like you saw that trailer they shown. Like granted,
Yes.
it was like mostly CGI, but it was just demonstrating what the future is going to look like for gaming when these consoles drop.
It is going to be what the money you're going to be spending on these new boxes is going to be of an epic situation that we seen with the X. You see, now, like I said, you didn't see it with the Pro. The Pro was a minimal step up to say the least. The X, on the other hand, you got your money's worth, and I think we're going to get our money's worth. And I think that once it's all said and done, you know, they're going to be companies. They're going to be the digital foundries. They're going to be the YouTubers who are going to try and build this box for a cheaper price, whatever the price is. And I still think it's $499.99 for Microsoft. I think Sony's going to be the same thing. I listen. Phil Spencer said that they're not going to be outdone in power and price, and for them to say that, I'm sorry. You know, the one thing I have to admit that has me jacked a little bit is just, and I'm going to read the stats once again, but hopefully I don't get interrupted by, of course, the Amazon guy delivering packages. We're getting 4K 60, and I think that's going to be the standard. The console is going to run the Zen 2 and the RDNA architecture from AMD. We know that. And it's going to leverage the hardware accelerated ray tracing. It's going to be using GDDR6 memory with the NVMe solid state storage, which means that it's basically going to eliminate loading times. Loading times may be 3 seconds. But here, this is see the one thing a lot of people talk about Phil Spencer is that, you know, they take the nice guy mantra that we all love about him, and they consider it to be a weakness. And I think that they're wrong for saying that. I think the guy, he's a power person in the industry, very, very smart. But there's one thing about Phil Spencer and Microsoft that comes through when they make an announcement. It's when and how they do these announcements, and when they do them, they know something that we don't. Like I said this on the show, a couple of shows before. The swagger that he had on stage for the Game Awards was a little bit different, noticeably different though than some of his other entrances, because he understands the power that this box has. And something that I found to be very, very interesting, and you know what, it's the wording on the advertising, and I think it draws a line in the sand, and without saying a single word, to be honest with you, it's basically daring Sony to cross it. Now, some people may disagree with that, and that's fine if you do. And this is a conversational podcast, so come in, drop a comment in there, and let's talk about it. But on the advertisement for this box, it says, it's very simple: fastest, period. Most powerful, period. That's it. And I think that they know they're more powerful than Sony. And I think that this is why Sony, and again, I haven't seen an official statement, but there are rumblings in the industry that they're already talking about the Pro, the PS5 Pro, and and we haven't had a launch yet. We're still 11 months away from a launch. So what does that say? What does that say for the PlayStation 5? It's going to be less powerful. Welsh, when you see that, when you see the advertising on this box, and right from the beginning, right there open for everyone to see, fastest, period, most powerful, period, what does that tell you as a consumer?
I'll tell you what that tells me in a nutshell, and it is pretty much as much of a nutshell as that slogan: fastest, full stop, most powerful. When you look at the Xbox One X, what was its slogan? The world's most powerful console, because that was the power argument. That was the whole of this generation cultivated into a massive head, almost like a pimple. And then Phil Spencer just came and popped that pimple and went, here's the X power. You asked for it. Here you go. Now he's gone ahead, like above and beyond. He's gotten ahead of the curve. So where like they know they've got the power now, but he's probably preempting that the future narrative would be speed, like loading speeds and stuff. So he's gone. This already just says to me that this man is just a forward thinker. Obviously, we knew we were going to get faster boxes, and that goes for PlayStation as well. But for him to like categorically say like this box will be the fastest and the most powerful, touting minimal load times to like no load times to as high as just 3 seconds, it says a lot to me. And it also says that it's something a lot of people are probably overlooking, because obviously the argument's always been 4K, 4K 60, 4K this, or 60 30, you know. But now it's like 4K 60. We can guarantee is going to be the standard for Xbox and most likely PS5. I'm not going to sit here and say it won't be, but speaking for Xbox now, we know that will be the standard. And as me and Zemi were saying while you were absent a moment ago, Boom, there's chances of games potentially going higher on the frame side of things. Yep. But as we know, it will be 4K 60. So that's ruled out. That is done. Next on our list is shit. Let's get those loading times down. And people are overlooking that because the 4K 60 like narrative has been so prominent this generation, so strong. People are already probably overlooking the fact that this box is going to do something we haven't had given to us with consoles before. And that is just sheer speed. Like from app to app, from your web browser, game to game, like swapping, you know, navigating through your dashboard to actually in game going through a door. And then instead of like a 2-minute loading screen before it loads at the other part of the map, you're talking seconds, milliseconds, if that.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a huge, huge sell. Again, I have no doubt that PlayStation is playing a similar card on that front, because like they're obviously going to, and they're certainly not morons over there. But if it is in fact going to be the fastest and the most powerful console, and as promised, touting those kinds of speeds, Christ, if that's not worth your money, just those two things alone, like Jesus Christ, because people can shout to the heavens like, oh, but where's the games? Fuck off. Believe me, if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, the games are also coming. There's loads of games coming launch. You're going to have a great lineup, a fucking stellar lineup with more games to be announced leading up to it. The fastest and most powerful console. Let's just put it this way, Boom. Fastest, full stop. Most powerful, full stop. 3 words could not be speaking more volumes at this point for me.
No, that's actually a great point. Zemi, before we move on to the next topic, because we've been actually on this for 40 plus minutes, actually, is there anything in closing that you would like to add to what we've been talking about today?
I mean, just to kind of build on what you guys were, talking about with the whole power narrative and how Sony is going to react to that and all that different stuff. I've said this before. I do not think that the Xbox Series X is going to absolutely blow what the PlayStation 5 is going to be doing out of the water. I think the Xbox Series X is obviously going to be faster. It's going to be more powerful. And if that matters to you, then that's, the reason why you should buy that console over the PlayStation 5. But what I think we're going to see is a huge reaction from PlayStation. They're definitely going to try to jump in front of this and make a more powerful version of a PlayStation 5. And I absolutely love that. That's probably the one thing out of those words on the Xbox advertisement that I like the most, because it's going to drive a lot of competition. And whenever these companies are, fighting to be the top, to be the best, consumers win, right? That's a big reason why Xbox has came so far this generation. Right. They've been fighting, clawing all the way back up to the very, very top. And every single step of the way, what has happened, us consumers have been winning. We've won with Game Pass. We've won, now with we won with the Xbox One X, them bringing us, 4K, them bringing us 30 frames per second. So whenever there's all this competition, regardless of who's on top, I don't care. PlayStation, could come out with a PS5 Pro that, is more powerful than the Xbox Series X. That doesn't bother me in the least bit, because Xbox is going to react to that the same way I believe PlayStation will react to that, and the consumers will win at the end.
That's a great point.
Can I just say one thing?
Jump on in. Yeah.
The bottom line is with these companies and consoles and just like this industry is everything is always going to be tit for tat anyway. So when I hear that there's already talk of a PlayStation 5 Pro, yeah, okay, a part of me think like there's one side of my brain that goes, they're already like talking about it because the PS5 is not going to be as powerful or whatnot. But then on the other hand, I think, I mean, it's common sense. Like I fully expect both PlayStation and Xbox to do a mid generation console. It's kind of become the new norm now.
Yeah.
You know, it started with the 360, the 360 Elite, the PS3 Slim, and then the Xbox One with the Xbox One S, and the PS4 with the PS4 Pro, and then you had the One. Well, I say the One S. The One S was just a remodel of the One X Fat. It was the One X that was the mid-tier, the mid-gen console. But still, like, so yeah, I fully expect it. It's certainly something I would have expected. The fact that PlayStation are potentially already talking about it, you know, could be like, you know, potentially blowing their load early. Like, why would you? I don't know why you'd want to talk about it when you haven't even released the PS5 yet. But it's still like a case of tit for tat. Like, you know, PlayStation will take the crown, then Xbox will take the crown, PlayStation will take the crown. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what we'll see within the next few years. But no, it's. I'm just excited, man. This machine, I can't wait to get my hands on one. Bottom line.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Real quick, before we move on to the next topic, I have to thank Clutchman01 with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, watch crowd reacts to Series X even better. Yeah, I've watched a few of them. And listen, I'm going to be honest, maybe I'm a big old nerd, and I don't care. I don't care if I'm a big old nerd. I got goosebumps every time because, man, you know, I was a part of that. If you watched it live, you were forever a part of this monumental launch. You know, I mean, this reveal, not launch, reveal. You're a part of that. And if you jumped out of your chair excited, that's freaking awesome. And if it didn't phase you, well, guess what? That's awesome too, because maybe you're just not into games as much as the next guy on your left or next girl on your right. I don't know, but it excited me to the point where when I seen it, I got goosebumps over it. But I want to talk about the next topic. Now, obviously, we've talked about Hellblade. We've talked about Ninja Theory. We're going to talk about Hellblade 2. Now, the announcement, again, you have to think about the ramifications of this. You know, if the announcement wasn't enough for you as an Xbox gamer, where they showed off the new box, the new name, the new controller, Phil does something, once again, uncharacteristic, and he shows a game that's supposedly ways out. But see, this is where I want you guys to bookmark what I'm about to say. I don't think it's that far out. As a matter of fact, I would be ballsy enough to say that I think that Hellblade 2 is a launch title for the Series X. And you're going to say to yourself, well, just a second, Boom, now you've jumped the shark. You're insane. And I say to yourself, just a second, let me explain my answer. Now, with the original Hellblade, it's widely known that Ninja Theory was robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it has been confirmed that the team size is one of the biggest costs of any project. This was reduced, with the responsibility of main disciplines falling to a single individual. In total, around 20 staff worked on the game across 3 years, compared to around 100 on its previous games. Just some basic information. Now, with the acquisition of the that was announced at E3 2018, the little train that could, known as Ninja Theory, now has the backing of Microsoft, who, in my opinion, have outdone themselves with the Ninja Theory pickup. Now, their talent was on display live and in person during most that watched a primetime gaming event that had more eyes on it than E3. That's right, folks. The Game Awards had more eyes on it than E3 2019. And I say, of course, well done, Phil Spencer, Ninja Theory, and all of the team at Redmond. This is exactly how you make the gaming media love you and continue to talk about your brand. Unveiling Hellblade 2 was ingenious, bold, ballsy, and even in every way, I couldn't be prouder. Now, the reason why I personally say that this is going to be a launch title, a surprising launch title, simply is this. We know that Ninja Theory themselves, since becoming a first-party studio in 2018, have staffed up considerably. We know that it took them 3 years to work on Hellblade 1, which launched in 2017. Well, I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of the truth, Welsh and Zemi, but if they finished Hellblade, here they go again. If they finished Hellblade, what, you know what? Let me go to you, Zemi. What do you think? Am I crazy for saying this? Are they going to release it or not?
I had a wild conspiracy a few shows ago where I personally think that they're going to release Fable 4 as a launch title. So I can't 100% say that you're wrong or anything like that. I don't see it personally myself. I think it would be more likely to release like early 2021, maybe summer 2021, maybe a little bit later on than that. So yeah, I don't necessarily see it being a launch title. It definitely could, though, especially with all of the resources that Microsoft has given them, and they are a very talented studio. But just like whenever I look at like the actual time scheme of, whenever they ported over Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice to the Xbox One, and then obviously they're working on Bleeding Edge. That's a small team that's working on that, but they're still putting.
There are only 13 people working on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
PS, by the way.
Absolutely, but at the same time, I don't think one studio is going to release games super close together because number one, they would kind of compete with each other, but then also that's less ammunition that Xbox has in their pocket later on.
Yeah, but you know what? My counter to that is Bleeding Edge releases at the beginning of 2020.
Yes.
Hellblade 2 could launch at the back end of 2020, making bookends for Ninja Theory.
No, absolutely. Like I can definitely see it happening, but I think that there's other games that would be more likely to end up on a launch title because they're only going to put so many games as launch titles, right? And I think it's safe to say Halo Infinite's going to be a launch title. We already know that.
So is Forza Motorsport 8, which we'll be talking about soon.
Killer Instinct 2, if that might be in the works, that could possibly be, a launch title. Fable 4 could possibly be a launch title. Probably not. I probably put that, I don't know, in like the same likelihood as I put Hellblade, Hellblade 2. But, they can't put, throw, all of their chips, on one certain day. Like they're going to have stuff to last them, going, forward in the generation. So I don't know, but I do know that the game looks fantastic. I still haven't actually played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, so I need to play that.
Oh, dude, you got to play that. That is
it scares me.
I kind of knew you were going to say that.
Little
power
dark
through it, man. You can do it.
People whispering in your ear.
Yes. It is creepy. It is creepy.
Exactly.
It definitely is creepy. Look, I want to just say this. First of all, I have to shout out Eric the Beard in the chat. First of all, dude, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you coming out and checking out the show. He says this. Phil said the game was in early development before the trailer. He did say that. Great point. It's 2 years out at the earliest. Now, I can understand. I can make an argument for exactly what you're saying, Eric the Beard. But just for a second, let me just kind of bring back my point. And of course, I'm going to go to the Welsh on this. When they were developing Hellblade, it was a new IP, right? Everything was new about it because it's a new character, it's a new world, it's a new lore. But it's different on a sequel. Now, of course, the sequel has to be bigger, it has to be better, it has to be bolder, and this one looks to have all of that in spades. But that's saying that it can't be a launch title assumes that after 2017. They just stopped pre-production of anything, and they were just hanging around the office drinking lattes and eating fancy donuts. And I don't think that's the case, because when a game stops, when they put it out, when they finally can sit back and say, yes, the game launched, they take a breath. The next week, their pre-production starts on game whatever. And from what we understand, Hellblade 2 was already in talks of being done before Microsoft acquired them. So if the timeline for Hellblade was 3 years with 20 people, by the way, 20 people, isn't there room or evidence to suggest that maybe if they have a staff of 100 people now and 87 of those people are working on Hellblade 2, could it potentially be that since 2017 and now you move it up to 2020, which is 3 years, and almost triple or quadruple the people working on said game, Welsh, am I crazy for thinking that maybe this is a rope-a-dope that Phil is saying that, well, this game is out. Don't even worry about it. Don't look at what's in this hand. And then when it launches, boom, like a magician, it's in the right hand, and he shocks the world.
I can't help but think of things like Hellblade and Crackdown when this sort of thing comes up. I think Phil knows already exactly when this game. He probably has like a month, like a month already, and he's saying 2 years from now. Better yourself more time in the public eye than less time. Better to say I'm not going for another few weeks than say, oh, I'll be ready in a week, and then a week comes by and you're like, oh shit, I haven't finished X, Y, and Z. My point being, I do think, especially looking at the timeline, this game with just 20 people, and now you've got the juggernaut with the checkbook right behind you, tapping the first party network behind you as a game, like 343 and whoever, if they need a tap on the best, they have what they never had before. They manage a fucking phenomenal art piece out into the open with a very small team, very within a 3-year space. Now, when did Hellblade 1 drop? What was the year it dropped?
I'm not sure. It came out on, I believe, PlayStation first, and then it was later on ported over to Xbox. I think it was ported over to Xbox in 2018. I think it might have been 2017, but I'm not sure when it was developed.
PlayStation 4.
Okay, so let's just say 2017 for argument's sake. It dropped.
Yeah, I just pulled it up, and I didn't mute my mic, so you heard me checking with Google. August 8th, 2017, launched on the PlayStation 4.
Okay, well, it launched. What did you say? Sorry, 2017.
August 8th, 2017.
Well, there you go. So, like, given even a 3-year window, that gives you 2018, 2019, 2020, and that would have been if they had their 20, which they don't. Their team has quadrupled. They've had the back. I honestly do just putting the wool over our eyes a little bit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say for definite and put my very on the line here, jokes, and say that it is literally. I'm not going to sit here and say wholeheartedly that yes, Hellblade 2 will be day and date dropping with the Xbox Series X, but I do think it's very likely. I do believe, given the timeline, given the amount of resources now afforded to them that they didn't have before, which would naturally reduce the time significantly in development, and plus you've got to take what the game is. It's a very linear. It's an art piece. It's not like an open world RPG with all these different things going on. You move in one direction. It is very cinematic. It's very lore based. It's all about that art style, that the psychology of it. It's a very different style of game, but a very, I don't want to say simple. Simple might be oversimplifying it, but I can see a bigger team with a bigger budget doing a lot more with a lot less time, given the type of game it is. Does that make sense, Boo?
No, it makes perfect sense of what you're saying. Okay, again, I don't know the exact number. If someone in the chat actually has the ability to find out, or anybody on the panel, because obviously there's a lot going on in this show, and I want to make sure that I produce it correctly. So if anyone could find out the exact number of current staff at Ninja Theory, it would be greatly appreciated. But to your point, Welsh, is this. Hypothetically, let's just say that they staffed up to 100, right? They have 100 people at Ninja Theory, from asshole to elbow, right? 13 of those 100 people are working on a passion project. No, you know what I'm saying? That a lot of people are going to discount. I think Bleeding Edge is going to be amazing. I really do. I think it's going to be an amazing game, especially if you are an older gamer who appreciated Capcom's Power Stone 1 and 2, which were fantastic. That's what it reminds me of. So that leaves 87 human beings.
Yeah, it looks like 100.
Oh, it is 100?
Yeah, well, I just Googled it, and it said the company employed more than 100 people to work on the game. And then like it looks like Wikipedia has like number of employees 100. So it's around 100, maybe a few more.
Okay, so
well, on that note, then,
excellent.
Boo, you can take the mic straight off me. But with that said, then, on my point, quadrupling the staff, Microsoft behind you, the budget, the timeline, in mind, I do believe Hellblade 2 will drop within the first half of 2020, potentially on launch. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, again, we have to.
Sorry, Christ.
No, we have to. Yeah, we have to talk about numbers, folks. Numbers in a situation like this matter. Very, very simply. If it took 3 years for 20 developers to bring us Hellblade 1, which is a effing masterpiece, and if you haven't played it, Zemi, shame on you. Get out there and play this game because it really is a good game. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that if you really liked A Plague's Tale, like it's one of your top games.
Oh yeah,
you owe it to yourself. The amount of scariness, if you will, in Plague's Tale is probably around what you would get in Hellblade 1. So I don't think that it's awful. I don't think it's Resident Evil scary. I think that there are some parts in there that you might be like, you may take a step back, but it's nothing that's going to melt your face off. So again, getting back to the numbers, let's do the logistics of this. Now, HR Bomber, first of all, is in the chat. And I want to thank you for being here, dude. He says LinkedIn says 120, and this is actually fantastic that you dropped it in there because this is going to further my point. Again, 13 people working on Bleeding Edge. My number was originally that there were 87 human beings working on Hellblade 2. With the LinkedIn information, that brings it up to 107, right? 107 people, or plus people, because there might be a few more in there. 107 plus people working on the game since 2017. I'm sorry to say that's legitimately 5 times the amount of people working on Hellblade. Sure. Is it a bigger game? Absolutely. Is it more graphically intense? Absolutely. Are they working on new hardware so they have to have, new ideas? Absolutely. But it's reasonably safe to say or admit publicly, and I'm not afraid to be wrong. If I'm wrong, fuck it. I'll just come out and say I was wrong. I don't care. But at the bottom line is that there's a potential to make this a launch game simply because of the amount of manpower versus the original manpower and time frame. I mean, Zemi, do you want to add anything to this?
I mean, like I said before, I could see it releasing, as a launch title, but I really don't think it will. If I had to bet money on it, and I'm not a big gambler, but if I had to, I would probably say it's more likely going to come out later in like 2021. Is my guess. Maybe summer, maybe fall, maybe early spring, but I don't think it's going to be a launch title. I hear what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense, but this game is bigger. They got a lot of new staff on. There's always confusion, whenever you hire any new people, the whole onboarding process, we don't know what engine they're using. We don't know, the whole time scheme. They finished, Hellblade, in 2017, but then they also ported it over to Xbox. We don't know if they were working on the new game at that specific moment in time. Maybe, they didn't start their new game until Microsoft acquired them, gave them maybe possibly a brand new engine. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know. And traditionally, yes, it takes about 3 years to develop a game. That's like the industry standard, but we don't specifically know when they started development.
No, we can only speculate.
And there's a
Right.
lot of factors that go in. Like I said, they hired a lot of people, but it's hard to get 100 people all going in working on the same idea and pushing it forward. There's a lot of onboarding. There's a lot of confusion, and they recently they were acquired around the time that we believe they started this project. So there was a lot going on that could have distracted a lot of people from 100% staying on task, making sure everything gets done, if that makes any sense. But with that being said, is it just following the time? Is it possible for Hellblade 2 to be a launch title? Yes. I don't think it's super likely. For me, I think it's going to come out later on. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here because we don't have enough information. And again, a lot of these shows that we do, we bring our opinions on something, and a lot of the information is speculatory, unless I'm reading it directly from a quote from Microsoft or Ninja Theory saying that yes, Game X is going to be delayed until 2021. Which, in fact, if it did launch in 2021, you got to remember. Well, for a lot of these companies, and a lot of people may not even know this, there's the launch game list and there's the launch window. And the launch window for a new console is 90 days. It's 3 months. So potentially, if Microsoft's Series X comes out in November, right? They could call something a launch window game. Which would be 3 months from there. Would be December, January, February. February has become the new November and October for gaming. So listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still going to stake my claim in that it's a launch title. And I'm going to throw this out there before we move on to the next topic. A couple of things. So if in fact the launch list goes like this, the X comes out, the Series X is out there. I still think they're launching 2 systems that day. I think we're going to get the S as well on there. I think we're going to get the color is going to be different. I think it's going to be the standard black that we've seen. I think that's going to be the X. I think they're going to release an S version that's going to be white. That's going to be whatever it's going to be, cheaper, $299. This is $499. People go crazy. But getting back to the launch list, it could potentially, we know Halo Infinite's coming. We're going to talk about Forza Motorsport 8 next. That's the next topic on the list. And Hellblade. Holy shit. I mean, that's a lineup. And we don't know. We don't know if, let's say, some second-party deals like Sony did with Godfall. Godfall is a year exclusive for the place. It's a launch title for the PS5. That's great. But at the same time, we have heard Phil's been doing those handshakes, right? Those handshakes in Japan. And we've been hearing this rumor, and I've reported on it almost a year ago that there is a potential for Vanquish 2 by Platinum Games to be an exclusive. Maybe it's a timed exclusive. Maybe they do the same thing as Sony, and it's a year timed exclusive. It's weird how Vanquish and Bayonetta, the 10-year anniversary, is coming out next year in February. I think it's $30. You get both games. They're going to run at 4K 60 on the X. Who's to say that couldn't be a second-party launch title? Who's to say that we're not going to get a proper Killer Instinct 2, which we understand is probably not in development, and it's sad that it's not, but you're also going to get some smaller launch games in there. Listen, this is shaping up to be one hell of a 2020, regardless of what flag you fly. But if you're an Xbox fan, my God, there's a lot to get excited about. But you know what? We hung.
Can I just?
Yeah. Come on, jump on in. Absolutely.
I just wanted to reiterate what I said because I think I might have misworded. I think I said something along the lines of I think Hellblade will come out early 2020, whereas that doesn't make any sense. I personally think, just to be clear, I've seen a few people in the chat, like a number of people now, saying, why would, shouldn't want them to rush it, this, that, and the other. I personally don't want them to rush anything. I know I speak for Boom and Semi as well.
I agree.
We certainly don't want them to rush anything. We're just playing ifs, buts, and maybes. If, and this is a big if they have, in fact, started development on Hellblade 2 as early as, late 2017, post the launch of Hellblade 1, maybe they put a few people to one side for the port and everything, so I doubt you need the whole team just to port a game over. But assuming they got the ball rolling in 2017 and we've analyzed the numbers and the timeline, we don't need to go over that again. I personally do believe, I'm on Boom's side with this, more Boom than Zemi, but kind of in the middle. I kind of believe that.
Pick a side, damn it.
Pick a side. I think there's a lot of potential a lot of potential for Hellblade 2 to be a launch title. But to reiterate, so I know I've said it correctly, I do think if not a launch title, it could potentially be within the first 6-month window of the Xbox One X. So basically the first half of 2021, not 2020 like I airily said before. So I just wanted to get that out, done, dusted, and end on this. What a stunning looking game it looked. Oh my God.
It does.
All
it's
out of the launch
fantastic.
and when it's coming outside. What a that's the shit we can look.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Zemi, real quick, anything else you'd like to add before we move on to the next topic?
No. Well, I guess there's one thing. I need to try to find the courage to play the first one.
You have to, my God, man, please play this game. Try it. I'm telling you, if you can get through A Plague's Tale, you can get through Hellblade.
Well, A Plague's Tale wasn't scary at all.
I know,
but scary at all.
It has the same ambiance as Hellblade. I mean, listen, I think that you can do it. We're all gonna be.
I've had it downloaded like twice, and I keep deleting it.
This is madness. Well, anyway, real quick before we move on to the next topic, I have to thank Adem. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm just gonna say A, dude, because I don't want to butcher your name. That's terrible to do live on the air. Adem A with the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He says, "Why would the Xbox be superior to the PlayStation 5?" Well, I mean, listen, there's a couple of reasons, dude. And I'll answer that question real simple. Again, listen, I want this to be understood. Sure, I have an Xbox show, but I also have 2 multi-plat shows. I support them all. I cannot wait to get my hands on the Xbox X Series. I cannot wait to get my hands on the PS4 and hopefully a new Switch Pro. And hopefully they all come out next year. With that said, why do many people in the community and in this chat and on this panel think that it's going to be more powerful? The easy answer is Microsoft's teeth were kicked in this generation. And Phil Spencer has been very blunt about saying that they are not going to be outdone by Sony's PS5 in price and power. They lost the power narrative. They got it back with the X. It's been doing very well for them. They've done some test consoles with the sad edition everyone makes fun of, that 1 MPDs in the UK, which is, by the way, if you didn't know, the UK is ruled by the PlayStation brand. And somehow or another, the digital system with no disk drive, no UHD drive in there, won the day. So times are changing. And why do I think it's going to be more powerful? Here's another easy answer. They're co-engineering the chips, whereas Sony is just working with AMD. And I'm taking nothing away from Cerny. Cerny is a freaking genius, and everyone on Sony should be sending this guy well wishes that he never leaves the company, because he is a master craftsman. But I still think that Microsoft is going to edge them out because they got their teeth kicked in, and they said they would never be behind the power narrative again. But again, you may disagree, you may not disagree, but I hope I answered your question. I want to thank you for being here. And of course, thank you for your outstanding generosity with the $2 super chat. But I want to move on to the next topic. And then you can see I'm pops up on the screen. Oh my God. Could that be the cover of Forza Motorsport 8? Man, it might well be. Now, in a story that I pulled from Games Radar and OXM, some new and very interesting information has come out about Forza Motorsport 8 that potentially making it a launch title for the Xbox Series X next holiday season. And folks, I think this is a lock. I really do. Now, according to the article, the next Forza Motorsport game is already playable, with plans for an official announcement next year. It seems that E3 2020 reveal is very likely, but I would say that there is a springtime Xbox event already confirmed by Microsoft, and this is where they could let the curtain drop on this game at this show. Speaking on a recent Forza-themed Mixer stream, Turn 10 creative director Chris Asaki revealed that the studio recently held its first playtest for the new Forza Motorsport experience, teasing that the overall product and where we're going with the long-running franchise is going to be vastly different and have some amazing experiences. Now, during the interview, this is what he had to say. We experienced our new tire model. We experienced our new tire pressure model. We have a new way of heat, how it interacts with the tire pressure, and we actually have dynamic track temperatures affecting this all. Holy shit, man. This is just talking about tires. Are we serious now? We have dynamic rubbering on the track. We have a new atmospheric pressure system that accurately has pressure affecting things like air density, affecting aerodynamics and power, as well as tire pressure. We have an entirely new suspension system with new suspension modeling. And he says this, I'm missing about 15 other things that are just under the hood. That's just moment to moment, rubber meets road experience. Wow, 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 wow. Now, what's very interesting and why you should take note here is that that he finished with the promise that the studio will be revealing much more about the game next year, suggesting that it could very well be in the works for a Microsoft Series X launch, which we just talked about. Now, I'm going to get to the question, and I'm going to start with the Welsh gamer here, who's a racing fan, to say the least. How exciting is this new information that basically came out of nowhere? And more importantly, it's huge news that confirms the Xbox Series X launch could be the best gaming lineup in the history of the Xbox brand. Welsh, please take it away. Uh-oh, the Welsh.
Yeah, I don't think Welsh is here.
Oh, we got to add him to the stream. Welsh,
Yep.
Are you there, my friend?
My apologies, gentlemen. I don't know what happened. I'm currently using my tablet, and I've had to quickly jump on the link and stuff because my laptop just done a 180 on me. So you're going to have to just... I'm so sorry.
You know what we'll do? We'll bring you back in when you get your computer squared away, if you don't mind, because you do sound like you're in a tin can. So we'll bring you back in a second. Zemi, you heard the question. Now reveal your answer.
I feel like I'm on shoot, what's that show with Bob Barker? The Price is Right. I don't know. I feel like I'm on like a game show. That's the word I was looking for. Reveal your answer. Look, I love Forza. Like, I'm not a huge Forza, person. I don't go out and buy every single one of the games. But I thoroughly enjoyed Forza Horizon. Every single time I pick up a Forza game, I probably play it, 20, 40 hours and I'm kind of done. I kind of treat it how I treat FIFA and like other sports games. Like, I'll pick one up every now and then, I'll play the crap out of it, and I'll put it up and retire the game. But, and I think my very first Forza game was like Forza 2. And I was like a young little child, and I wasn't slowing down for any of the curves. I was running straight off the road. Because at that point, the only experience I ever had was like Midnight Club and Need for Speed. But I really quickly fell in love with like the Forza titles because of the amount of realism and like simulation and just the fact that they're adding in like atmospheric temperatures and the rubbering on tires. They have like all these new things that they're updating the game with to influence how your car performs on the tracks is absolutely fantastic. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people love Forza. If you want to just, go in a car really, really fast, probably Need for Speed is going to be your best bet. But if you want like a authentic simulation of like how the car is going to react going around curves and drifting and all that different stuff, Forza is the way to go. And that's a big reason why Forza is my number one racing game. I actually have not played any of the other games since I played Forza. I haven't played Need for Speed, Midnight Club, or any of them since I met Forza. So I'm super excited for it. And the idea that it's going to be a launch title, I think it makes sense because last generation, I don't even remember the number. Was it like Forza 5, Forza 6? That was a launch title for the Xbox.
It was 6.
One.
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't one of the best and most loved in the series. They took some things away.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah, it was great. It looked fantastic, but there were some things that were taken away that they had to put back in. And but listen, they took a year off. Remember, this was a year to year. 1 year Forza Motorsport, 1 year. Horizon, and they would constantly go back and forth. Well, they kind of jumped the mold here, and they broke the mold more so than jumping it by saying that we're going to take a year off. I mean, listen, folks. I am a technical boob. I'll be the first one to tell you how I get these shows to run is still shocking to me, but I learn on the job. And I hope I'm doing a good enough job that people enjoy it. And I think so, because once again, we have broken records today on this show. The highest amount was last week at 306 people watching. We are currently at 317. Holy shit, Batman. I cannot believe it. And I just want to thank everybody in the chat. And of course, before I get your continued point, Gamer by Choice drops an outstanding and extremely generous $10 super chat. He says, great show, everyone. Xbox Series X and the new studios have me extremely excited for next generation Xbox gaming, even though I'm primarily a third-party gamer. Hey, listen, dude, most people ask, where I play the most. I play like you on the Xbox, and all of my third-party games are played on the Xbox for a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously the X it's a better, you get a better experience. You're getting better graphics, better running time. I like the achievements better than I like trophies. I like my friends lists there, certainly a lot more stout than on the PS4 Pro. But now I have a PS4 Pro for all their exclusives, and their exclusives are great, and I love them. Same thing for Nintendo. But please, Zemi, keep going talking about this.
Well, just to add to that, I feel the same way about achievements. I think I have like an addiction. Like if I'm playing, I agree. Game,
yes, I'm addicted.
I feel like I'm not getting rewarded by not getting achievements. Like it's pretty bad. But back on the Forza 8. but yeah, so I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that it's going to be a launch title. Historically speaking, I think it's for sure going to be a launch title. And I cannot wait to see what this game, because Forza always looks good, right? Like I don't think there's ever been a Forza game that I played at that specific time of its release that I, didn't think looked absolutely fantastic. And so the ability to now see it in 4K, 60 frames per second, I think is going to just amplify how amazing that game is going to be for me personally. But yeah, I'm super pumped for it. Is Welsh back?
Actually, you know what? He's muted, so we're just going to continue this particular topic, and hopefully he can get in here before we move on to the next one. Oh, there he is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank God. Honestly, I can only apologize, gentlemen. Literally, as the last topic ended, literally when I threw my last 2 cents in about Hellblade, my laptop just disconnected from the internet. The screen went black. I was like, this is just too damn perfect, isn't it? So I got my tablet out, and here I am. So
you do sound like you're a little bit of an echo drone, but obviously, if that's what you have, brother, we have to have you on the show. We can't bounce you because you sound like you're from a distance. But what we were talking about Forza Motorsport 8, we're talking about the different aspects of what was discussed during this live stream, this Mixer live stream. A lot of information came out regarding the rubber, the track rubber, the tire rubber, the pressure, all these different things. And he promptly said that there was about 15 other things, and I think 15 is a low number, just under the hood that they didn't even mention. And when you think about the detail that's going into the rubber on the tires, it just goes to show you that every detail on this game is going to be screaming next generation, screaming next gen quality. What are your expectations for Forza Motorsport 8, considering they took an entire year off and they have double the development time?
Well, I mean, I used to love my sim races back in the day. I'll be honest, I'm not as big a racer fan as I used to be. I think I've said it before with regards to even Forza Horizon as an amazing game that is. I probably played more Forza Horizon 3 and 4 than I have any other racer in years. But bottom line, Forza as a entity, whether you want to talk about Horizon or Motorsport, they are just like the flagship racer. Like, if you are a fan of cars and racing games, like, look no further. And I think I really do. Do you know what? I'm going to put it out there. I'm not going to make any apologies for that statement. I honestly think that Forza as a entity, as a franchise, is the flagship.
Oh, we might have lost Welsh again. Welsh, you there, brother? Holy matrimony! This is outstanding. In the worst way possible. Zemi, are you there, sir?
I'm always here.
Yes, you certainly are. Well, yeah, Welsh is having some audio issues, and obviously, this is obviously live television. Oh my God! If I ever get my own studio, this is going to be great. But this is live podcasting. Unfortunately, these things happen. And obviously, we want Welsh back here as soon as he straightens out what's going on. Maybe it's an internet thing over there. But I want to say that
some trouble like this whole show, kind of.
Yeah, he's been botting a little bit too. It could be a mic thing. It's a technical issue. We're going to keep running with it. I think we're having a pretty damn good show. But I want to say this. When you think about the PlayStation brand. And you're going to say, wait a second, but wait, you switching topics? No, I'm going to bring up some important points. Polyphony, the makers of the world-renowned Gran Turismo, held that title in their hand for years. And unfortunately, they put out some amazing games. There's no doubt about it. Racing has been defined by what the groundwork that they had laid. And of course, we had games like Need for Speed come out and challenge that. Never really never really beat what Polyphony has done. And then you had other titles come out. Project Gotham Racing was fantastic, right? That was a great series. And then a little title came out called Forza Motorsport, and it has taken the world by storm. And they have proven that this is the premier racing sim / arcade racer with Horizon, and no one does it better. Now, I'm not saying that Polyphony's next game, which is supposed to be a launch title for the PS5, at least that's what we're hearing, could give both Motorsport and Horizon a run for its money. Sure, it could. But do I think that's going to happen? The answer is absolutely no. And I think that even though Motorsport, I buy them all, and I buy the Maximum Edition because, you know what, I'm going to support the company, and I don't play them as much as I should. I'm not, the sim part of racing is just not for me. I'm more of an arcade racer kind of a guy. That's why I like you, Zemi. I played more Horizon than I did the other, the Sims. But then again, you changed your tune. I tried to get into Motorsport, and I enjoy it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I just think it's amazing. It's just that I'd rather run through the grass, to be honest with you, and run up a rock hill than just run around the track.
I actually prefer Motorsport to Horizon.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're nice. Okay, so that's good. That's good. So you're really looking forward. To this game.
Well, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just didn't really dig super, super deep into Horizon, but it just kind of seemed like to me, Motorsport has more like features for the car. There's more things that you can upgrade to tune your car and stuff like that. And I don't know, it like Horizon seems more arcadey than regular Motorsports does. To me personally, that's just my takeaway.
Well, I mean, listen, this is going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game because it's a next-gen console game. It's a big game because they took an extra year of development time not to release one this year. It's going to be an even bigger game because it's going to be a launch title. And again, this is just my opinion. I do not have any insider information, but just based on the timeline, and again, using those metrics, using the numbers, which I love to use, we have a good chance that the launch titles for the Xbox Series X could include both Motorsport and Hellblade 2, along with the confirmed Halo Infinite. And I have to say that to think that those, I mean, you see, and I kind of want to just rewind for a second. Okay, now I say those 3 titles, and people are all chanting, they're all excited. Yes, boom, might be onto something here. But what is important on the back end of this, and this is, again, this could be a topic for another show, and because we have some time while Welsh Gamer gets himself, tidied up. Think about this, Zemi. Think about this, chat. Microsoft is going into this generation with something in their back pocket, and it's called Xbox Game Pass. And what they're going to do is they're going to ask their fans to go out and spend $500 on this box, which is what I think it's going to be. And, so you're going to have to save up at least $550 to get this box. But the important part, and something this is that they can tout and Sony cannot tout this, is that when you bring home that box, right, that box of $500, you are going to have potentially three launch titles of AAA quality already waiting for you just to simply download. Is that not madness in itself?
No, I mean, it's completely crazy. And I think that it's a huge step in, Xbox's master plan. We talk about Xbox all the time, right? And we talk about the new hardware that's coming out. We talk about the xCloud that's coming out. We talk about Game Pass all the time. But I think a lot of the times it's hard to remember that all of those things work together to bring this next generation into what it's going to be. And just the fact that, you are going to be able to go out, pay, what I think, at the least $350 or $300, what I think, is going to be the Xbox Series S's price, or less if you decide to go with xCloud, and have access to hundreds of games, first-party games, day one on release for no additional money if you're a subscriber to Game Pass, is absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant, and it's really going into Xbox's favor this generation.
It's a strength for Microsoft.
Absolutely. I mean, because, you got to think, I remember what it was like being a 12-year-old kid, not being able to play all the games I wanted to play. Right. And now that's not an issue. It's not an issue because I'm a grown man. I can go out and buy my games, but B, I don't even have to buy a lot of the games that I get because of Game Pass. And so, I just wish Game Pass was a thing back whenever I was 12, 13, 14 years old. I would be a lot fatter and I would have never went outside.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Welsh, are you back officially, my brother?
Oh my God, let's hope so.
You sound perfect, sir. Welcome back to the show. We missed you, kind sir.
I hope you caught anything I said.
We did. We did catch it, but you know what? Listen, we're still what we're talking about right now, and I really want to get your take on this because you're very bullish when it comes to the importance and more importantly, what the Xbox Game Pass brings to the table in the next generation. And what I said to kind of get off of the Forza Motorsport topic was that Microsoft has something in their back pocket that they're bringing to the dance that they didn't have in this generation. And that's, of course, again, Xbox Game Pass. And what we were saying is the potential to sell a $500 box, because, again, that's me and Zemi believe that that's what the price is going to be, $499.99. You're going to get this mammoth system. But what's important and why this becomes important, because the running narrative at the beginning of this generation was power. Microsoft is going to have that. What became the running narrative midway through, and to Sony's credit, they had the games, right? They had the value. because you paid a little, not so much money, and that's why they sold so many systems. But they had some great games. Now, if you look at the Microsoft launch lineup and the potential launch lineup, I have to keep saying that because I don't want to say, yeah, Boomstick said this is what it's going to be. But if you go out and you spend $500, Welsh, you're going to be like, shit, $500, that's a lot. And for you, it's probably a little bit more, right? So it's going to be a little bit more. But when you bring home that box, you're going to have potentially Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport 8, Halo Infinite waiting for you to download. How important is that to the Microsoft plan next year?
Oh man, they're just literally hitting on all cylinders now. Every narrative that has like behooved them and every hurdle that has been put in front of them, they've not only jumped over it, but they've literally put the 2-finger salute behind them as they're moving forward. Like, fuck you, running, literally. And in this case, man, like the stellar lineup. And I'm glad you said potential lineup as well, because there's still so much hope for getting, like, for me anyway. Maybe people are going to be like, oh, this guy's high on something. This guy's smoking a Jeffrey. But literally, it wouldn't surprise me if, like, speaking of potentials, like, we know Halo is going to be there. We know Hellblade is going to be there. We know Forza Motorsport 8 is going to be there. But what about Fable? What about what the Initiative is working on? What about what Undead Labs is working on? Like, then you've got like Ori, Will and the Wisp. They might do a definitive edition, like a revamp, just to bring it up to speed with what. Like, there's going to be a stellar lineup, and that includes games we know about and games we don't know about yet. And there is where Game Pass comes in. Now, this is the thing. This is the oh man, this is just like the bullet in the gun. It's one thing to bring a gun to a sword fight, but you better make sure it's fucking loaded, god damn it. and I honestly just think, like, marketing's going to be a huge thing, the games is going to be a huge thing, power is going to be a huge thing, but a great selling point, I should say, one of the killer apps that is going to be a driving force, the nail in the coffin, the spear, the stake in the vampire's heart when it comes to selling this system at a 500 or, like I've said in the past, potentially 600 price tag. Neither here nor there. It's a big deal, a lot of money to shell out, is the Game Pass app. Now, what I think would be incredible is if they did a deal where they literally launched the box with, Christ, at minimum a 6-month Game Pass subscription like code or something for people who haven't got it yet, just to entice people, get more people in the loop. Obviously, people like myself, I already have it. I could give my code away or to a relative or whatever, but still, I think that would be an amazing selling point to just give more girth to that price tag. Give it more meaning. You've got the power, you've got the speed, you've got the lineup, you've got the marketing. You're going to have custom consoles and controllers and all the different things up the line, the first party, second party, third party studio acquisitions and marketing deals. But Game Pass is going to be the heart of it all. I've said it from day one. I'll say it now. That is where it's going, and they need to drive that one through. Like, literally, they need to push with that one. And I think that is going to be a huge selling point for this system with such a, it's going to be a large price tag, but with more things like this behind that price tag, it just makes it more and more appealing and valid for me. So, yep, Game Pass, man, like I've said it a million times, incredible service, very consumer friendly. Like Zemi said, I wish I had it when I was a kid. I used to have to rake leaves, wash cars, rub backs, polish shoes. I used to find pennies behind the cushion just to buy one game a year if I was lucky. And then I'd have to wait for Christmases and birthdays. Kids today don't know what they got. Oh, shit. Honestly, like, it's incredible. And no other platform has got what Xbox has right now. And they need to use that in their favor as a tool of mass destruction when selling this system. They've already, oh man, it's, if I haven't said it already, Boom, between the power, the games and the speed and all these great things we're going to cut, 4K 60, potential 4K 100 plus games. It is incredible, but they need to drive it home and hit that home run with the Game Pass, because if people aren't already clued in, it is the best service out there for gaming, hands down.
No, that's a great point. I mean, it's I think what's going to drive the point home, what's going to really put the cherry on top of this very tasty banana boat sundae that we have in front of us, is the fact that yes, the console is going to cost $500, but as a consumer, that listen, money doesn't grow on trees. And life gets in the way almost all the time. This is no doubtedly going to be one of the most expensive years for gaming that we've ever seen. And some people are not going to be able to afford both consoles. Like I'm not even being silly here.
Boom. Can I just add something onto what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Jump on in.
The only reason I want to say it, is I'm just so scared my laptop's going to kick me in the balls again. But literally, like another thing to put into perspective as well is let's put PS5 and Xbox Series X next to one another. Say they're similar in power bracket, similar in price, but they're both around the $500 mark. Excellent. We can all sing to the heavens. Gaming gods have answered. We're in the same boat, regardless of preference. We're getting into this generation on similar footing. That's a big assumption, but let's just put it out there on the table. The difference with the two, though, is because Xbox has Xbox Game Pass, for the mass majority of Xbox enthusiasts that have the service will not have to spend an extra penny on any of their games. Whereas,
that's a great point.
Halo Infinite, Forza Motorsport 8, and Hellblade 2, for instance, all the three of them would be $60 price tag games if you bought them individually. So that is $500 plus an extra. What is it? Really, 120 plus another.
Well, it's $180 if you bought all three games.
Yeah, exactly. So you could chalk that up to like a $680 price tag, including the games. Now let's look at the PS5, assuming that's a $500 launch title, launch box, and it comes out with God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, and Last of Us 7. Like hypothetically, whatever three titles there at the time. The PlayStation fans are going to have to buy that box and buy those games on top. So that is something that Xbox needs to throw out there amongst all the mind share it's getting already, just to give people that, hey, if you want to jump in the new generation and you have no preference, you're not hardcore on either side of the fence, come over here. We've got you covered. You've got you all you have to do is buy the box and the rest is history. You've got all of your games at your disposal for no extra charge. I think that's a huge point I just wanted to make. But yeah, but I'll give it straight back. Luckily, my laptop didn't kick me in the left nut.
Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, listen, we want to hear your point. Obviously, you're part of the show for a reason, and we enjoy what you're saying. But yes, that actually makes a lot of sense. And again, it goes back, it harkens back to Microsoft looking to make money on the back end of these subscription services, but at the front end of it, offer the most value for their customers' dollar. And when you think about price versus what you're getting, I mean, just think about this for a second. Let's say that you're on the fence. Let's say that you're one of these people that are like, you know what? I don't trust services. Or you're the customer, the other customer says, God damn it, I have so many services, I'm sick of them. $15 a month gets you the ultimate Game Pass. So you sign up a month before, right? You sign up the month that November. That November, let's say for instance, the Xbox comes out November 10th. And on the 1st, you say, you know what? I know that I want this box and I can't afford these games. And you sign up on the 1st. You're bringing this $500 box home, but you're also going to have access to nearly $200 worth of AAA and to some extent maybe even quadruple A titles the day you bring this box home. That is madness to think about. And you know what? People are going to discount what I'm going to say, and that's perfectly fine. But at the same time, we have to understand this is what Sony ran with. This is why they ran they ran away with the generation, because they said we have the power and we have the price. And they went out there and they did that amazing video, which basically just pulled down Microsoft's pants and kicked them right in the sack and said, yes, this is how you trade games. Generation over, right? Well, Microsoft isn't going to do that. They're a little bit more classy, if you will. So how they're going to do this with sipping tea with the pinky extended is going to be, here's your $500 box. You're getting unbelievable tech. You're getting comparable high-end PC specs. And, P.S., by the way, if you're a subscriber, not only are you going to get all of the launch titles in their day and dates, but we also have something called xCloud for you, so you can play your games anywhere. Zemi, when saying it out loud, it almost sounds like it can't be true. Before I move on to the next topic, what are your thoughts on what I just said?
I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. It's extremely. I mean, in a way, it's beyond consumer friendly. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like charity. It's like Xbox is literally giving us a beautiful like piece of charity. Like I mean, and I've already kind of said it, already. Back whenever I was 12 years old, I couldn't even imagine that this would be a thing. And it is a thing. And I'm very jealous for all those 12, 13-year-olds out there now that have, as many games as they could, ever possibly play, for $15 a month. And what you were talking about, 20 minutes ago, what you were saying with not everyone can afford to have multiple consoles. That's completely true. Yes. But to even, dive into that even more, not everybody can afford a $500 console. There's a lot of people, a lot of households out there that unfortunately couldn't even afford a $300 console, right? They may have, a smartphone. They may be able to get a smartphone because, they might be able to throw out $20 a month for a cell phone. A lot
of
people.
That's another great point. Zemi, you know what? I want you to run with that because that's a great point.
Absolutely. And the fact that Xbox is giving consumers the ultimate choice. I remember being, a 12-year-old kid. I couldn't go out and buy an Xbox. I had to wait until Christmas. And, my family, they were kind of lower middle class, so it was definitely difficult for them to buy me that system. But, looking at it now, there might be some 12-year-old kid that really wants to play Xbox. He hears all his friends talking about it. And because he might have a smartphone, he can now play the same exact games that all of his friends can play for very little to no money at all. And adding in Game Pass to that, I mean, it's just huge value and it's super consumer friendly. And it's going to allow so many people to jump into Xbox that previously couldn't because of the money barrier. And for me personally, I think that that's just fantastic. It's super cool. And, that's a huge reason why, more than ever before, I'm a huge supporter of Xbox because what Xbox is doing is great for the community, not just their own, but for all the community, for the entire industry. And so, that's definitely something I'm super proud of Xbox for doing. And yeah, I mean, what more can really be said than that? Their services are fantastic. They're offering consumers serious bang for their buck. They definitely have a very strong hand going into this next generation.
Well, listen, this has been an amazing topic, and we kind of went off the rails. This started out as obviously a Forza Motorsport 8, and then we kicked it into high drive. So what I'm going to have to do is, I like to do the timestamp for people, so I'm going to be doing that after the show, so bear with me while we do that. But I just have to shout out a couple of things. Now, I've been away from the chat because I'm doing some behind the scenes work on bringing up some graphics for the next particular topic, and of course we're going to be talking about Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now, there's no doubt that this is one of the most anticipated Xbox One exclusives to release in 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps finally received an official release date for March 11th, 2020. And according to the article that I pulled from our good friends at Windows Central, the new title from Moon Studios may in fact run, get ready for this, folks, and sit down, at 120 frames per second on the Xbox Series S. And I say, what the F? While answering questions on Reset Era, game director Thomas Mahler said that internally, the team is pitching the idea for a 120 frames per second patch for the game for the Xbox Series X. And here is his exact statement on what we will be breaking down for this topic. Now, internally, we're also pitching around the idea of maybe making a version of Will of the Wisps that supports 120 hertz on the Xbox Series X. But that'll be up to Microsoft to decide. So feel free to tweet Phil about that prospect. I think it'd be a neat idea if Ori would be one of the first games to run in a new era. I mean, to bring in a new era of console gaming, being the first title to support 120 frames per second. And by the time the Xbox Series X launches, that could be commonplace. Holy shit, is this guy serious? Moon Studios seems to be very forward-thinking, in my opinion, and the developer understands the importance of staying ahead of the curve. And with what we just heard, me as a podcaster is completely blown out of the water to think that, yes, it is a 2D game. It is a 2D/3D game because it has the 3D sprites. But Welsh Gamer, before your computer kicks you in the balls, I have to get your opinion on this because I know you're a huge Ori fan. When you hear that the potential to have the next game, which already looks amazing, run at 120 frames per second on the Series X, what does that do to your brain?
Oh man, like when you stepped away earlier to get your Amazon parcel, and me and Demi were talking. We were talking about the concept of the Series X, and that 4K 60 will be a standard, but there's already talks of it pushing that boundary and potentially hitting up to 100 plus frames on certain games, and so this is just absolutely music to my ears, really. It's just going to set a new precedent. I mean, what an incredible feat. Like, the guys behind this game should be very proud of themselves for even having the confidence to do it, let alone if they can actually just do it. And then what does that say about the system that we've been touting for the last 2 hours? Well, some of us only an hour and 20 because our laptops are a piece of shit, but literally unbelievable. And I think what's incredible as well is they've already got this game in place where they want it, and they're touting, essentially saying that, like, when the game comes out, we are heavy. We could be heavy at work in releasing a post-launch patch or some kind of patch to totally utilize the power of the Series X. And then that just opens up my mind to possibilities, Boom. Like, where could it possibly end? Like it's surely that notion isn't going to begin and die with Ori Will and the Wisp. Like, what's to say that? Again, I know I'm not the biggest tech guy. I've never promised to be. So please, guys in the chat, be merciful. But but literally, like, what's to say that a game like Halo Infinite or Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport 8, Gears 6, like you know, and Fable 4, like, whatever. What's to say that once a game like Ori and the guys behind it get that ball rolling and and break that barrier and prove to everybody that it is definitely possible for the Series X to surpass the 60 frame mark? What is to say that, like, Halo Infinite doesn't drop 4K 60 and then they release a patch later at the line with extra work put into it, of course, because I imagine it'd take a lot of time to do that. Like, with it, it would take a lot of time. What's to say that they don't release a patch? Okay, maybe a game like Halo Infinite wouldn't reach 120 because it's a far more demanding game. Like, whereas Ori Will and the Wisp is a side scroller, like a 3D, 2D, as you put it, Boom game. But what's to say that they wouldn't release a patch to up the ante so a game like Halo Infinite is running at 4K 80? Or,
Elemental P brings up a great point. Not to cut you off, he says Killer Instinct at 120 frames per second. Holy shit, my mind just exploded.
No, well, absolutely. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like, all this says to me is, one, what a phenomenal developer. They could quite easily just play the safe game and just release their game at whatever state it comes out in, and that's it. But they obviously want to prove themselves, push the boundaries, and obviously promote the Series X for what it is, an absolute juggernaut, by pushing its limits to its fullest. And then that'll set an incredible trend. And like I said, what is to say that 343, Coalition, the Initiative, Ninja Theory, and whoever fucking else, even third-party studios, what's to say that the guys behind Call of Duty, and what's to say that they won't do something similar?
Exactly. That's a great point.
Excellent
point.
Honestly, that is what I love about a statement like this. Yes, people will say, "Oh, it's Ori, Will and the Wisp. It's only a side scroller. What's the big deal?" It's a big deal, all right. It's a big deal. You've got a team of people who are breaking bread, trying to make a name for themselves and get bigger and better in this industry, and they could easily play it safe and just release their game at the limit that of 4K 60 or 4K 30, whatever they were going for. But they're deciding no, like, guys, get on Phil Spencer's case. Make him give us the green light. We want to show you, 1, what we're worth, and 2, what this console can give you if you demand more. And that is a message that will be heard, kind of like on Lord of the Rings. The beacons are lit. Gondor calls for aid.
I love it. That's great. What a nice way to throw a Lord of the Rings trope in there. I love it.
And Rohan will answer. Literally, it's true though. Like once one beacon is lit, the rest will start lighting up, and that is what I like to see in the gaming industry. But absolutely excellent. If the guys behind Ori are listening to me right now, you get the big thumb up from me. That is excellent work ethic, and I long to see more from more studios.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. What it's hard to follow up the beacons have been lit trope. But Zemi, you're going to have to do it because we have to talk about this game. You know, when you talk about Ori, first of all, this game came out of nowhere. And it Moon Studios. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they should have been bought up already, unless they're just not going to be bought up, and they don't want to, and that's fine. But they have been really so good for Microsoft, and Ori and the Will of the Wisps has the potential to really bring next generation gameplay still on the Xbox current console. It looks amazing. It's going to tell an emotional story. It seems a heck of a lot darker. And when you talk about, the Moon Studios thinking outside of the box by saying, internally we're kind of thinking about bringing the, a version up to 120 frames per second. That's very exciting. What are your thoughts on this, dude? And what the director actually had to say?
I mean, well, just to start off, Moon Studios, what they're doing is absolutely fantastic. I think it was maybe 3 months ago we had a story. I don't remember if we actually ever covered it on the podcast or not, but it was about Moon Studio porting Ori and the Blind Forest over to the Switch at 60 frames per second, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, no, we did cover it. I believe, and yes, and yes, it is running better on the Switch and it's running on the current Xbox.
So that just shows that this studio is super passionate about their projects. They put a lot of care in, and whenever they do something, they want to do it beyond right. They want to do it absolutely amazingly well. So for them to be interested in making Ori and the Blind Forest 120 frames per second is not remotely surprising to me. Personally myself, I would be happy with 60 frames. I think 60 frames looks really, really good from the few games that I've been able to play at 60 frames. But 120 is even better. And I think it's important for Xbox to fill in the gap between, console gaming and PC gaming even more. And with, Ori and the Will of the Wisps being potentially 120 frames per second, I think is a really, really good starting point for that. But I'll actually take it even further. What I really wish Xbox would do is adopt more of the PC philosophy. I wish all the games that would release on Xbox, whenever you went into the settings, not all the same settings that you get on PC, being able to, reduce the graphic quality from medium to ultra. But I wish that they would give you the option to play it in 1080p, 1440, or 4K, and whenever switching it increases the frame rate, that way. So for instance, if you wanted to play Halo Infinite at 120 frames, then you could drop down the resolution to 1080p and the system could handle that. I really wish that would be something that they would look into doing, or possibly 1440p Halo Infinite at 120 frames per second. Just adding in a little bit more of the PC I guess philosophy or like how it actually works on PC, reducing the resolution to get more frames per second. I really hope that could possibly become an option in these next systems, because for me personally, I really like resolution. I like 4K, I like 60 frames per second, but there are some gamers out there who think frames is the only thing that matters, and they would rather play super high frames at 1080p versus have the game at 4K. So I'm super excited to see, what Moon Studios is doing. I kind of, I don't think that they want to be acquired. I think that's really the key, because if they wanted to, Xbox would be crazy for not already acquiring them. But maybe they do want to be acquired and they just keep trying to get Xbox's, attention, like, pick us up. And that's why they're just absolutely, killing every single thing that they do. But I'm super excited about it. I need to still play The Blind Forest, and then Will of the Wisps whenever that releases. I'm super behind on my games. I have a backlog the size of I don't know. But also
Montana.
Also,
sideways.
I want to say this too, because I don't think you guys might have not been noticing, but the viewership hit 470 at its highest. 470 people watching.
That is, I had it at 4. Again, I'm multitasking here because I wanted to get these screenshots on. 470 is, well, not anymore, because RDX hit 1,500 plus people live in the chat, and you know what? I just have to say it publicly: a big congratulations to Dealer, to Colt, to everybody, to D-Batch, to everybody that's on that panel, because they have become the most prominent and well-watched Xbox show, followed by this little one. Again, I'm sure that there are thousands of Xbox shows out there, and obviously I wish I knew more of them, but we have broken numbers today that are just insane to think about. And 470 is the highest. It actually, I think it's almost 180 more than what we originally had, and it's wonderful to see the turnout that you guys and gals are enjoying the Xbox banter between the three of us. I think that this is a show of positivity. It's also a show of truth. Sure, we can get our excitement, get away from us, and that's going to happen from time to time, and we're not so positive that when something happens that is that we don't like, that we're going to not talk about it because we don't want to ruffle anyone's good feathers. This is a show, again, of truth. And if something is happening that we don't like the Welsh and I have many times brought up, the marketing or the messaging or the way of certain things have been doing. But as the Xbox and Phil Spencer learn from their mistakes, there's going to be more and more for us not to talk about. And the Welsh Gamer actually drops a $5 super chat, who happens to be on the panel, by the way. Thank you for that. He says 450 plus watching, love, woo. Love.
It's meant to say watching live, but
okay.
Autocorrect. God damn it. Stupid mobile phones.
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody. We've surpassed the 2-hour mark. We still have 460 people watching, which it's madness, and it's I cannot thank you enough. This is numbers I've never in my imagination thought that I would ever hit, and we did that today. And I hope that everyone really enjoyed everything that we brought to today's show, because I was so excited about this show that I actually had it finished. I finished writing it. I believe it was Monday at midnight. That's how excited I was. As a matter of fact, I was up 3 times this week past midnight writing for the shows, because I really do like doing this. It's something I enjoy, and I'm glad that so many people really enjoyed it. And just so real quick reminder, if you're new to the channel, and this is your first experience, and you're kind of hesitant about hitting that like button, maybe possibly becoming a channel member or even subscribing to the channel, I say check out the shows. The Street Live show, 6+ hours of content per week. They're all positive. We try to keep them PG. Every now and again, we're going to drop an F-bomb. We're going to drop a bastard or something like that. We have to keep it fresh. But tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom is a special one. It's a special one because Mrs. Boomstick, who's heavily behind the scenes involved in everything that I do with this channel, her and I have always wanted to give back to the community, and we are going to be doing our second annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, where we're going to be giving away $300 plus worth of digital items as well as physical items, and the physical items are pretty cool. I haven't shown anyone what they are, and through the lottery system that I'm going to be using, each one of the winners of the 10 winners, going to be a total of 10 winners, 5 at the middle of the show, 5 at the end of the show. We're going to run those 10 names, and depending on how it comes out in the computer, those one or several of those 10 winners will be getting a bonus physical prize that we'll be mailing out. And it doesn't matter if you live in the UK or you live in another country, we'll get it to you, so don't worry about that. And that's going to be happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. on my channel, Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. It's something that we wanted to do to give back to the outstanding generosity and support that this community has shown me. So let's get into the outros. And of course, I have to start with the Welsh Gamer. Welsh, obviously, I've said this before publicly, you jumped on board very early when I wanted to do this Xbox show, and you have been riding this train with me ever since, and having you a part of this has been super important to me because you're not only a friend, not only a fellow podcaster, but I consider you to be family, like a brother, and I enjoy working with you, and I really think that you bring your passion and knowledge to each show that you're on. So please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, check out your YouTube channel, and also hit you up in the DM if maybe they're feeling life is a little bit too tough for them.
No, I appreciate that, Boom, and like everything you do, like what you and Mrs. Boom are going to do, like honestly, it's a privilege to work with someone as humble and as lovable as yourself. And I feel exactly the same about you. This ain't a circle jerk, but I'm just saying it as it is. I literally love this, man, and I feel like you're my brother as well. And Zemi, I'm so glad you're part of the fold too, man. And I love it. I love it all. I love being a part of this show. And I appreciate your words, Boom. Very, very kind. As for myself, the Welsh Gamer, at the Welsh Gamer 93 on Twitter, if you want to hit me up. As for my YouTube channel, the Welsh Gamer, 3 words. I was actually having a long discussion with my missus the other day about how I've started kind of missing doing the odd video and stuff. Like I was literally by the hair of a rat's ass so close to making a video about the Series X drop at the VGAs, but I ended up not having much time because my son wasn't very well. But I'm going to throw this out there now that like 2020, I can potentially see like a potential like comeback with like, frequent videos, maybe even just one a week. We'll see. But with that said, at the Welsh Gamer 93 on Twitter, please hit me up on Twitter. I'm very vocal on Twitter, but also the message I like to share, and we've got a lot more people to hear that message today with 450 plus, well, as Emmy put it, 470 people watching live. Oh my God, I absolutely love you all. It's been a hell of a journey so far. We just continue to outdo ourselves, and it's so hard to believe that like people are just coming back for it's growing all the time, Boom. It's so I don't even know how to word it. It's incredible. But literally, I love every one of you in the chat that like stopped by. And it's important that I end on this note that like everyone in the world, it doesn't matter who you are, no matter how big and tough you are, we all suffer with mental health to some extent, some of us more than others. If you're one of the lucky ones that have never ever had to suffer, like, big ups to you. But there are a lot of you out there, even some of you listening now, that do suffer with mental health, whether it be anxiety, depression, any of those things. And the most important thing to remember is that you are not alone. It's so easy to get caught up in this like mentality, like, oh, I'm on my own. I got to trudge through the trenches on my Jack Todd. And it's not the case. I, for one, have been there. I know better than most that like you just got to reach out. So as it'll always be anonymous, I'll never share a damn thing. But please, I urge any of you suffering in silence to DM me on Twitter. We can party up on Xbox. We can just talk back and forth in DMs. We can go on Skype, whatever. I'm there to talk and help you through any tough time. So that's all I got to say, guys. Excellent show. Loved every one of the topics. And, awesome, guys. Big ups. Merry Christmas. Merry Xbox Series X. Happy times. Love you all.
Well, thank you so much. And really, just to keep the good news running. Well, first of all, Xbox Battlegrounds. First of all, thank you for the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, by the way, and thank you. We appreciate you being here. I am happy and proud to say that records have been shattered, not only in the viewership with 470. For the love of Jehovah, I have crossed 3,000 subscribers to Double Barrel Gaming. I'm currently at 3,004. My God, this has been one hell of a ride. This is now 25 months in to from my first video, which was November 3rd of 2017. And we did it, folks. You did it. You helped me cross 3,000 subscribers. And once again, here's the bell. Zemi, do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can take you. We'll take you.
Where are they taking me? Don't take me. Everybody.
Hopefully they're taking you to dinner.
Nobody take me anywhere.
I'll take you to the back of my car right now.
I'm happy where I'm at. Please don't take me.
Yeah, do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your amazing channel.
Okay, absolutely. Well, Boom, thank you so much for letting me come on this podcast every single week. I absolutely love it. I love the Xbox brand. I love talking about Xbox. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. If you guys enjoyed my opinions on all these different topics, definitely check out my YouTube channel. It's called Zimmy Games. I do gaming Xbox tutorials, gaming news, some Let's Plays here and there, just all sorts of stuff. If you like this channel, you'll definitely probably like my channel. So definitely check that out if you have time and if you want to. You can also check me out on Twitter at Zimmy Games. I have my DMs open, so if at any time you guys ever want to send me a message to talk games, feel free to do so. I absolutely love talking to the community and everything like that. I think that this is going to be the last show until Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Boom, congratulations on the super high viewership of 470 views and your 3,000 subscribers, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, the way it's going to work is this. We do have a couple of more shows lined up for the remainder of 2019. Tomorrow's obviously Breakfast with Boom is going to be there at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monday, which is obviously the 23rd of December, I'm proud to announce that we're going to have D-Batch, the technical wizard from RDX podcast, come on to the show and talk about, I haven't even started writing that show yet, so I'm not even sure what the H we're going to talk about, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless, probably very numbers-based, because having D-Batch on, the guy's a genius. And of course, what we're looking to do is the rest of the week we're going to take off, because obviously it's Christmas Eve, lots of family coming in and out, a lot of airport trips, a lot of picking and dropping people off. So we're not going to have any shows after the Monday evening, which is the prime time show. But the following week we're going to have prime time gaming once again, and then on the 31st, which is New Year's Eve at noon, we are going to have the Xbox Factor podcast end of year show, talking about the highs and lows for 2019 and what our expectations are for 2020. So far, it looks as if Zemi's going to be there. I believe the Welsh Gamer said that he might be able to make that, because we are changing the day. You know him as the Graphic God has confirmed, and I'm trying to get one or two other community members to get on this podcast, who of course worked with me before and have been huge Xbox fans, kind of just pal around and have just a loose fun show before the new year. And listen, once again, folks, I want to thank everybody that's still listening. Honestly, I'm in a position now that I never thought I'd ever get to, and that is all because of you guys and gals. just the gamers of the world coming out and enjoying, having fun. The chat was amazing as always. The super chats, what can I say? The generosity is just not to be believed. And like I said, if you want to win a prize tomorrow, head over to me. Find me on Twitter. Retweet the Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick and be in the chat tomorrow. And if you do those two things, you got a good chance of getting at least a prize. They're going to be giving out. We have 10 $25 digital gift cards to whatever you want: PSN, Xbox Live, Nintendo eShop. And the other prizes are going to be physical. So it's a total of 10 prizes. 10 people are going to win 10 digital gift cards, as well as some physical stuff to give away, to mail out to you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have a lot of laughs on tomorrow's show. So hopefully everyone turns out for that. But once again, thank you so much for making this one of the most successful Xbox Factor podcasts we've ever done. I want to wish everyone a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Have a great day, everybody.